start sharp on time, although we're few, but I hope you're all feeling energized and you've been enjoying the Asia Clean Energy Forum. In energy efficiency, it's so important to have energy efficiency champions. So great to see you here early in the morning. And we've got a few presentations we're going to go through, but we then have time for a Q&A. We'll make it quite interactive. And I'm hoping you participated in one of our polls where we asked people whether in energy efficiency in industry we should be focusing on SMEs or heavy industry. I think be a great discussion, and especially hopefully we'll have a few people more. So I'll just kick us off. So of course, dear speakers, colleagues, and participants, it's a real pleasure to welcome you today to this session on energy efficiency, and it's our third track. So many of you might have joined us on Tuesday. So my name is David Morgado. I'm Senior Energy Specialist here at the Asian Development Bank. I've been working on energy efficiency for close to 20 years, and I'm glad to be one of the co-chairs for the energy efficiency thematic track. And I'm sincerely hoping you have enjoyed our sessions on Tuesday and enjoy our session here today. Please do join us as well for at 11 o'clock. We have a session on scaling up energy service companies and cooling efficiency. But let's focus now on energy efficiency in manufacturing and industry. And you'll see a lot in the presentation. Why is energy efficiency in industry so important? So, of course, according to the International Energy Agency, the industrial sector was directly responsible for 1/4 of the global energy system carbon dioxide emissions in 2022. And if we look at heavy industries alone, chemical, steel, cement, they account for 70% of those emissions in the industrial sector, and half of the industrial energy used today. So keep in mind these statistics for later for our discussion on the importance of SMEs and heavy industries and where should we focus on if we had to choose. Unfortunately, energy consumption in the industrial sector is very much dominated by fossil fuels still today. It's been a challenge to move away from that. Progress towards low carbon technologies remains slow for many reasons, and we'll hear many of those reasons here today, what have been the barriers, but we'll also hear a lot about the solutions, how to solve these barriers, how to overcome these barriers. So we believe here at ADB that energy efficiency can play a critical role in reducing the emissions in industrial sector. And we feel also strongly that this can be done through material efficiency and circular economy and recycling. And we'll hear, I think, many of the options today from our distinguished speakers. So we'll have about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and the first 45 minutes we'll have all the 5 presentations, and we want to keep the remaining time for Q&A and discussion with you and get your perspectives as well, and we'll try to make it interactive as possible. So with this context and background, it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today. Reshmi Ranjit is the Asia Regional Lead for Energy Transition at WWF. She's a climate and energy professional with over 15 years of experience implementing multilateral clean energy projects across Asia, including China, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Reshmi, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today, and thanks to ADB for this opportunity to present. I'm specifically presenting WWF Vietnam's work, where we worked in Tay Ninh province. This is in south of Vietnam. And we worked on the textiles and apparel sector because this is one of the high emission sectors, mainly SMEs in the region. A word about WWF. Most of you know WWF from the panda logo, nature conservation, biodiversity organization. But just wanted to take a few seconds to say that we also do energy work as well. And energy work is guided by this global energy framework, where we work with national, international, regional, sub-regional organizations to promote faster, greener, and fairer climate action, basically 100% renewable. So just to say that we want to promote energy efficiency and sufficiency. It's about, the organizations and people can be mindful in the amount of energy that they consume in the first place. Actively phasing out fossil fuels, generating renewable energy, electrify whatever that can be, and deploying renewable energy for hard to abate sector. If anyone's interested, this is available on WWF's site, the detailed global energy framework. So I'm presenting here the WWF Vietnam work under the Climate Solutions Partnership. This is a partnership between HSBC, WRI, and WWF. And we basically work together to promote net zero global economy in Asia. We are focusing on China, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And we also work on nature. But in terms of the energy transition work, it's about raising corporate ambition, demonstrating efficient energy solutions, and growing low carbon businesses. So yeah, this is the project. So as I said, we worked in Tay Ninh province. This is in south of Vietnam. And we had the approval of the Tay Ninh People's Committee, that's the political body. And we worked with the Department of Industry and Trade in Tay Ninh, basically to support the SMEs, textile and apparel sector, to adopt clean energy solutions, energy efficiency, and renewable energy solutions. So the Tay Ninh province houses some of the big industrial parks. So there are quite a few listed on the screen. And we had the advantage of working with some of the big brands like H&M, Lululemon, Gap, and others mentioned on the screen. So what did we do? We conducted energy audits and greenhouse gas emission audits for 38 companies. And we gave tailored roadmaps for all these companies on how they can, what solutions, energy efficiency solutions, and solar, basically in terms of renewable, it was solar, solutions that they can implement to reduce their emissions. And the mitigation potential for all these companies put together over the 5 years was 292,000 ton carbon dioxide equivalent. Besides these audits, we also did extensive training for energy managers of these facilities, and we partnered with the Ministry of Industry and Trade to certify them through these training courses. And of course, we did a lot of promotion in terms of communication, creating awareness through reports, podcasts, and documentaries. So when I say by tailored emission reduction roadmaps, we give 3 solutions: short-term, medium-term, and long-term solution. The short-term basically focused on behavioral change. It's about building capacity of the employees to switch off machinery, lighting, maintain their equipments to improve the efficiency of their systems. And this was accepted by most companies, and all of them implemented in their facilities. In terms of medium-term solutions, we were looking at optimized compressed air, so basically efficiency through air conditioners, cooling systems, implementing energy management and monitoring systems, efficiency of the motors and the fans, which would, the investment range would vary from 50 to 80,000. Also to add, we are only looking at scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, so which is roughly 40 to 50% of that facility for each of these facilities. So, and for medium-term solutions, the ROI is, in many cases, even less than 1 year. So it depends on the size of the facility. Yeah, we had on average 5 to 20% of emission reduction. And we had around 15 to 20 companies implementing. Some are still in the process of implementing these solutions. The long-term solution focused on electrifying equipments and installing solar. The investment would range somewhere between 250,000 to 1 million, and the ROI would be somewhere between 3 to 5 years. And of course, if you install solar, the savings would be in the range of 40 to 50% of emission reduction. And we have around 5 to 6 companies who have already installed all these solutions, and we are still in, some of them are still in progress to install these. So these are some of the solutions that these factories have already installed in their facilities. Just wanted to share a case study as well. So this is one manufacturer that manufactures around 50 million shoes per year for Adidas. They are spread over 33 hectares, and they have more than 9,000 employees. So we gave them 8 set of solutions. 7 was energy efficiency, that's listed on the screen, like improving efficiency of their motors, fans, air conditioners, air compressors, air leak remediation systems, installing an energy management system. So just by implementing the energy efficiency measures, they were able to save around 7,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. And they're in the process of installing a 7,000 kilowatt peak of solar rooftop on their facility, which would save another 5,000 tons. That would be roughly 25% of their total emissions in the scope 1, scope 2 range. Just to add, as I said, we did do a lot of reports, and if you go to my bio on the Vova app, you can access to the links of this GHG inventories for the textile and dyeing sector. We gave a net zero transition pathway for the Thainan province because that is where our work was focused. While working with many of these companies, we did realize that, especially in the SMEs, access to finance remains a challenge. When we gave them these tailored solutions, not all of them were keen to implement them right away. And we realized that financing, especially for energy efficiency, is a challenge because, the risk, the collateral are issues. And we did a study, and we partnered with Climate Bonds Initiative. And we saw that we found that especially national banks need to step up and need to have better financing mechanisms for energy efficiency solutions and make it easier for these SMEs to access that kind of financing. As I mentioned, we did training. We trained around 200 energy managers, certified training. We also partnered with GIZ to conduct climate action training, where we trained more than 1,200 energy professionals. We've also created tools. We did this podcast, which is on Spotify, in Vietnamese though, to promote sustainable energy solutions adoption. We did, the WWF team also partnered with VTV, which is a national channel there, to promote awareness and create awareness about the need for energy efficiency practices, especially in the industry sectors. And to build international support, we did panel discussions at COP28, COP29. We've also created a YouTube video, again, that's on my profile if any of you are interested. It's like a snapshot of what WWF did in Vietnam. And just to wrap up, in terms of opportunities, I mean, of course, having the support of the local government is very important. And we especially had the support of the Department of Industry and Trade in Thainan province. They were very supportive. And also, I think one of the other things that worked for us was engaging with brands directly. When we were engaging with suppliers, we did have initial hiccups in terms of convincing them. But when we engaged with brands, it became easier for us to convince the suppliers to be part of these audits and be more proactive and, be part of the whole solution. And for us, of course, in terms of lessons learned, it is important to have partnership with the local government, have their approvals to simplify the processes, brand engagement, and of course, financing, as I mentioned earlier. Also, we had strong support from VCCI, which is a trade body that represents Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and VITAS, which is a trade body for apparel, textiles and apparel. So they also helped us in amplifying our our solutions to a wider audience. And in terms of next step, we are expanding this auditing process to 300 more companies in Vietnam. We are going to expand to the food and beverage sector. Also, we'll continue with the textile and apparel sector as well. And in the next phase, we are going to focus more on heat pumps and electrification in Vietnam. And we are open to partnerships. If there are experts in this room who have worked on heat pumps and solutions, we'll be happy to join hands. Thank you so much for your attention. Back to you, David.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. And it's a really great case study because it's all encompassing. It covers a number of critical aspects for energy efficiency, in addition to just the installation of the equipment. And so I'd like to highlight some of them in terms of the behavior change, which is so important, as you saw, as one of the short-term objectives. Also, the importance of operation and maintenance after. So after you install this sometimes expensive but equipment, making sure that it's running and operating as expected during its lifetime is essential to continue to deliver those energy savings. And I could particularly like that WWF and used the brands to reach out to the supply chain, and that's becoming more and more important. You saw a lot of the major brands there needing to sort of push their supply chain to deliver energy efficiency and renewable energy as well. The importance of building capacity. Many of these countries, the capacity is not there, and we'll hear in some of the presentations on how to build that capacity, how to bring international collaboration is all very important. And finally, the collaboration between public and private sector. And it's great to see the government, the local government also taking an active role in promoting this, and they're recognizing the importance of supporting their industries to become greener and of course to export internationally. So a great presentation, Rashmi, and a lot of things to take and a great example for us all. So our next presentation is actually a good segue in terms of the importance of collaboration and sharing experience. And we'll have Junianto, who's advisor at the ASEAN EU German Climate Action Program from GIZ. And he's got nearly 2 decades of experience in energy policy, renewable energy, and sustainable industrial transformation across Southeast Asia. And so it's a pleasure to have Junianto here. Thank you for joining us. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, David, for the introduction. Thanks, ADB, for having me here. So, good day, magandang umaga, good morning, everyone. I'm Junianto from the ASEAN EU German Climate Action Program. This project is implemented by GIZ on behalf of the German government and co-funded by the European Union, with main partner is the ASEAN Secretariat. Today, I will share how energy efficiency network, or we call it EEN, can serve as a transformative pathway to accelerate industrial decarbonization across ASEAN. Here's a quick overview of what I will be covering today. First, I will start with why energy efficiency is crucial in the energy sector. Then a brief of this, what is it, EEN, and then followed by real-world energy efficiency network experiences in China and Vietnam, and finally how our project plan to scale this EEN in ASEAN, along with a call to action for the stakeholders. So let's begin with the why. Industry sector, I mentioned by David already, this is the largest energy consumer globally. In 2022, IEA saw that the industrial sector accounted for 37% of global energy use. In ASEAN, it's even higher, 43%, up from 38% in 2019, according to the latest ASEAN Energy Outlook 8. Both studies found that the sector growth has been driven rapidly by industrialization, expanding infrastructure, and rising production in energy-intensive industries. This rising trend highlights the urgency of improving energy efficiency, not only to reduce emission, but also to boost competitiveness and support ASEAN pathway towards net zero. So what is exactly EEN? At its core, EEN bring companies together in a structured peer learning format guided by experts to identify and implement energy saving solutions. The model combines energy audit, peer exchange, and implementation support. Studies shows companies in this network potentially improve their energy efficiency faster than those who are working alone. So this is a brief on how EEN network operates. First, start with the companies voluntarily join the network, supported by expert facilitators. Each participant then identifies its baseline and opportunities together. Then they set ambitious yet achievable energy saving and reduction goals. Then those companies act on their audit findings, for example, installing energy efficiency technologies or optimize operation. Then the network track progress and adjust their strategies at the end of the cycle. Throughout the process, regular peer exchange will allow companies to learn from each other and refine their strategies. Success hinges on the skilled facilitators, such as certified energy consultant, moderators, and then, of course, the supportive policy framework. Let us look at the experience from GIZ-supported EEN initiative. In China, the EEN model expanded to over 570 networks involving nearly 6,000 companies. The network achieved nearly 1 terawatt hour of electricity energy savings per year. In Vietnam, the pilot across multiple provinces allow impressive result, saving over 5 gigawatt hour of annual electricity savings. The lessons learned include strong policy, the right moderator, synergies, and integration. So this EEN first introduced in Switzerland in 1980s, and then the model has since been adapted and implemented in Germany, Austria, and beyond. It is not only a theory, it is a proven adaptable model that works across different policies and economic contexts. Within the region, Vietnam has piloted this practice, and ASEAN is in a strong position to leverage this experience. We see both challenges and opportunities. We can talk a lot about that. So what this means for ASEAN, building on these global and regional successes, CAP is working to activate energy efficiency network in ASEAN. Our approach includes toolkit development, stakeholder engagement, capacity building, and designing sustainable models tailored to the ASEAN context. Real impact requires collaboration. CAP invites all of you, government agencies, industries, chamber of commerce, ESCOs, experts, to be part on this effort. If you are interested in learning more or supporting energy efficiency in ASEAN, we welcome your engagement. Together, we can accelerate ASEAN industrial transition. Feel free to reach out to us. Our contact is on the screen. Thank you, and I look forward to the discussion. Back to you then, David.
Thank you, Junianto, and great to have your call for action. And I think the key message here is we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so much experience out there. The struggle sometimes is finding that expert that you need to support you and having his availability to look at your processes and see what needs to be done. And so having this network is a really key area, and I hope many of you, if you're in needing for support, hopefully you can reach out to Junianto and explore that. And it's so important as well nowadays in terms of regional collaboration. And we saw bringing experiences from many countries to PRC, to Vietnam as well, and providing tailored support. So do reach out to Junianto afterwards to explore this further. So this takes us to the next presentation we have, which will showcase the importance of policy to address energy efficiency, particularly in electric motors, which is such an important area, and which are typically the highest energy consuming equipment in many industries. So it's very great pleasure and I'm delighted to introduce Hubo, technical manager for CLASP China program. He's got extensive experience in this area, and he's responsible for research on minimum energy performance standards for appliances, including emission reduction modeling and data analysis. So Hubo, it's a real pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for your kind introduction. So I'm Hubo from CLASP. So I will talk something about motor and system and also decarbonization in China, and also maybe that also helpful for other ASEAN countries. First, I would like to introduce CLASP. CLASP, 3 keywords: standards, labels, appliances. But appliances, right, before we thought maybe household appliances, but right now we use appliances, a term for end-using products, including household appliances plus industrial equipment. That's our work. First, I would like to introduce something about MAPS, Minimum Energy Performance Standards, which is mandatory, which has strongest policy impact. That's the history of China's motor MAPS involvement in last 25 years. Starting from 2002, we have the first version and revised again in 2006, but keep the same line as IE1. And in 2012, we upgrade the efficiency requirement from IE1 to IE2. And then in 2020, we upgrade to IE2 to IE3. And right now, we're working with a partner, China National Institute of Standardization, try to increase the MAPS to IE4. I think what the main drives of such kind of MAPS improvement, first, of course, is top-down policy pressure. We have national policies, 5-year plans for energy conservation and emission reduction, which is quite strong. And also it has the dual carbon goal from 2019, which is strong promise to the rest of the world of China's carbon neutrality. And also we have the policy to be the world leading MAPS, that's standardization policy. Second, we have financial incentives. First one is, in 2012, we have subsidy for industrial equipment from 2010 to 2012, which support the boost of MAPS from IE1 to IE2. Then we want to take this opportunity for the industrial equipment upgrade initiative from last year to upgrade to IE4. And of course, the technology development innovation, that's industry development. And I think China made a lot of progress in the last 20 years. And last one is international benchmarking, which CLASP is looking for. Because take EU, for example, EU introduced MAPS in 2009, but start from IE2, and then China followed, and IE2. Then EU upgrade to IE3 again in 2015, and after 4 years, China. So I think it's some kind of competition and those following process that makes the work easier. But now we're talking about motor systems. It's evolved. Motor is the core of the whole chain of the motor system. It's a core equipment to convert electrical energy to mechanical, but it's a long line of equipment from grid, transformer, VFD motor in the middle, and also the transmission belt gate, and also driven equipment valve until the end user. So for us, our insight is that we categorize our work in 3 different levels. First is components. Components with individual motors and driven equipment, pump fan, something like this. It's individual component of the whole chain. Second, called MDU, motor driven unit, because that's another, we include, the VFD motor plus driven equipment into another circle called pump MDU, air compressor MDU, and also fan MDU, because we want to regulate MDU with MAPS, the mandatory policy, which has strongest policy impact. And finally, we want to regulate the whole motor system, compressed air station, pump station, no fan station. But I think that's our strategy, our work, our insights, how to facilitate the motor efficiency improvement. And let's just to show you how the energy loss along this equipment line from VFD, some losses, motor, some losses, transmission, some losses, fan, some losses, in each component. It has a range of efficiency. It's not a fixed point for each product. That means in some very bad cases, 100% input can produce only 10 or even some few points of output, useful output for work. That's a lot of waste. That means also a lot of improvement potential for our work. Okay, this where the potential from? This is left side is one of my friends who invented or proposed I classification. From his point of view and also my point of view, the model itself, small savings, 1 to 2%. From different classification. Second, core model system, which is the MDU actually, better, the blue circle. And finally, if have the large model system, we have a big, more efficiency improvement. And the last one is how we target the different systems. That's IEA statistics, pump, fan, and air compressor. That's champions our work in those fields. That's recently also mentioned, the compressed air station improvement. And now, we step back to China. Why the model matter in China? In 2023, model itself produces 2.76 gigatons of carbon emissions, which accounts 25% of China's total carbon emissions in 2023. That's a big number. So that's our work, decarbonization in model systems is critical for China's industrial emission reduction and also our carbon neutrality goal. That's why class invests a lot of efforts into this field. And that's our work in last years. We started from 2020 with the induction motor, PEPs, fan, air compressed MDU, and start from individual components. And 2024, we have different kind of motors, permanent magnet motor, high voltage motor, transformer maps, STARM. And in 2025, we have the water pump and also compressed decision just launched, I just revise again. And in 2026, beyond, we have fan, blower, pump MDU, fan MDU, air compressor MDU. For the rest, we focus on the MDU for the maps, but also for the voluntary standards, we have to focus on the, for system level. And okay, the last one is opportunities and changes. I first already analyzed, see that motor system, including MDU, I think has the highest, significantly greater efficiency involvement potential because I deleted one slide according to David's recommendation. The different classification of motors, only 1 to 2%. 1 to 2%. One IE2 motor to IE3 can improve only 1 to 2%, depends on the power range. So it's quite small. And also, compared to the whole chain losses, I can see it's good, but maybe we should, that's why we step forward to the motor systems. And our class insight is that we focus on the motor system efficiency with, of course, we still focus on the individual equipment. It's, small, but still with a big, numbers of in the consumption, 1% is still a lot in China context. That's why we still focus on individual components. And then we migrate to MDUs. We're targeting for the pump, fan, air compressor MDU. That's our work in next years. And ultimately to full system, I think it's really challenging for the full system because it has, of course, big apples in the tree, but it has some challenges, because especially for our work, or to standardization work, standardization motor systems has big challenges. I need some, points. First, the boundaries of systems, it's art design, and also some testing method, and also especially testing facilities, testing laboratories. That's a lot of investment for industries, and also for the, for the, national-wide investment. And also we have to establish appropriate efficient metrics and also classification schemes. We want to be monitoring in future, and also want to ensure effective compliance, monitoring, and enforcement in future. I think that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hugo. This is a great example of the importance of policy and setting minimum energy performance standards. So if you're not aware, minimum energy performance standards are some of the most impactful energy efficiency policies that you can put in place and lead to quite substantial savings. And you saw from Hugo's presentation there how important it is. Electric motors are pretty much everywhere in buildings, in a number of industries as well, and the amount of consumption. And even if it's just 1% or 2% savings, these are equipment that's running usually 24 2007. So, and operating maybe 20, 30, or even more years as well. So it's really important to tackle motors. And we, here at ASEF, we always tend to have a presentation on this topic because it's so important. It's setting these standards and then having, as you saw, incentives in place as well, and information and awareness. And so we've now, with these 3 presentations, we've covered case studies and we've covered having the expertise and capacity and then having the policies. So again, quite a nice segue now to go into a bit more detail with the next 2 presentations, particularly on heavy industry. So our next presentation is from Sugata Sarkar, who's Senior Counselor at the Confederation of Indian Industry. And he's got extensive experience in energy efficiency and energy auditing in the industrial sectors and has assessed more than 40 industrial plants to date and continues to do a lot of that work. So very fortunate to have you here to share your extensive expertise in the heavy industry particularly. Thank you. Sugata, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So first of all, I'd like to thank ADB for giving me this opportunity. Good morning, all. My name is Sogata Sarkar. I am from Confederation of Indian Industry, India. CIA is a non-government, not-for-profit organization in India. It is almost 130 years old organization. We have around 1,000 plus staff in India, and we are present in all the states in India. We are mainly into policy advocacy and offer different solutions to the industry. And apart from that, we have 12 Center of Excellence. I am from CI Sorabji Green Business Center. We mainly work on energy efficiency and climate change activities. We very closely work with the central government and the Indian industry, all type of industry, starting from the large to small scale industry in India. And we offer work on also on energy audit, energy efficiency project across India and outside India also. So in today's topic, I'll be talking about what are the recent projects we have done with the MSMEs and what strategies we have followed to make it successful. So before presenting that, I just want to share how big is India's MSME sector. There are almost 63 plus million MSME sectors are there. It is contributing around 30% of India's GDP, and it is contributing also India's 40% of India's export, and also there are 240 million people presently working in this sector. So you see how big MSME sector present in India. So now also you will see it is not a very easygoing task while you working with the MSMEs. Okay, because it's an owner-driven activity, owner-driven business, and also people are not their production energy efficiency is not the first priority for them. Okay, and they are also less technical expertise in the energy efficiency activities. And we CII, when we see there is a challenge, we also see it is an opportunity for us. We worked internally and we offer our solution. In today's presentation, what I will talk about, though we have been working with on last 20, 25 years with the MSME sector, and we have almost worked with 400 industrial clusters in India, and we worked with 7,000 plus MSMEs. But here in this presentation, I will talk about our recent project. We worked with UNIDO and Bureau of Energy Efficiency in India. So as it is also, I said, it is not very easy task with the working with the MSMEs, and they are not ready to invest in energy efficiency project. But in this project, we have used some specific strategies and which helped us to achieving the target. So what are the strategies we followed in that project? That first is that I'm not talking about any technical activity. I'm talking about the strategies we have followed, and we believe that this can be also can be implemented in other countries also. Okay. So while convincing that owners about the energy efficient activity, so they are not ready to invest. So what we've done that in India, different policies in each sector. So we find out which are the favorable policies for MSME cluster. We identified those and tried to get some fund from the government. Then second point, what we have done, we have aggregated the demand. Suppose in one location like Thangar ceramic cluster, there are 40 plants are there. All of them are looking for the solar installation, solar rooftop installation. So there was around 1 megawatt or 1.2 megawatt solar demand was there. So what we did, we discussed with the developers, and we informed them this is the total demand. Can you reduce your cost? And by which we have reduced the cost by 5%. Then also these people took the loan from the banks. Then we negotiate with the banks also if we can reduce the bank loan. Bank interest rate from 1% to 1.5%. That is also we have done. Then also we have done, when you're discussing with these developers, they got the standardized product. So it is also easier for them to manufacture the panels. Then what we did, we introduced the latest breakthrough technologies. Though there are several utility scale technologies are available that we introduced, energy efficient technologies. But apart from that, we also worked on what are the latest technology which can improve the productivity of the system. We can reduce the downtime. So those technology also we have introduced in those sector. Then apart from that, in India, more than 1.5 lakhs startup companies are there. And out of that, more than 10% are they are offering the clean tech technologies. So, and this clean technology is very innovative technology. Also, at the same time, you got a cheaper rate. So introduce those latest clean tech technology, whether related to energy efficiency or water management or waste management or renewable energy, we introduced with all this MSME cluster. Then what we did, we we worked in 4 or 5 cluster sectors in India. So we also prepared the compendium. We prepared the latest case study. What are the latest innovative technology case study already implemented new project in different cluster. We introduced to the MSME sector so that they can also get the confidence and they can also implement in their cluster. Then we directly had the work with the owners of the companies. There is no middleman in between. And so it was very easy to work with them. And at the same time, we also deputed local person in each cluster. So for smoothly working purpose. And also in India, there are more than 50 languages. In each state, we have different languages. So what we did, we worked in the whatever promotional materials we have prepared. When you interact with the people, we deputed the local person. So this is also will help us in smoothly implementation of the project. So after doing all this in the last 3 years, when you completed this project, around 25 clusters we have worked, including ceramic, dairy, engineering, foundry, forging cluster, and almost 17 million investment happened, and their CO2 emission of 52,000 CO2 annually they have achieved, they have reduced, then around 9,000 TU energy they have saved. This is the overall impact of the project we have completed in the 2 years back. Now, during this time also we have implemented so many technologies. Not only, as I said earlier, we not only worked on only the energy efficient technology, also the technology which improve their productivity or reduce their downtime. So there are few technologies that I'm mentioning it here. All the details are available in CI website. So you can anytime if you want to know about the technologies, you can download it and you can refer list of technology in wherever you are working presently. So yes, we have also faced some of the challenges, and we believe that there's always scope for improvement while next time we will do this project. So you can take the leverage from the digital smart IT solution, and you are also they are looking for more financial support. That is the government of India now bringing new scheme called Aditi scheme. So which will support the industry to MSME, particularly MSME sector, to implement. They are adopting more energy efficient technology. Then though we have worked only for in 25 cluster or 30 cluster, but still there are 700 cluster in India. So we have to do more capacity building program, create the more awareness about so that people will adopt the energy efficient technology and so on and so forth. So, so all this information available on CI website, and this is our office called CI Surabji Godrej Green Business Center. So it is India's first platinum-rated green building, and it is now also a net zero building. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for Sugata for taking us through the experience you have, particularly with SMEs. And I'd just like to highlight the approach, which was to use clusters and to get similar companies with similar challenges and solve similar issues. And so this again, nice linkage to Junyanto and sharing of experience. And then that also facilitates then the financing, access to solutions as well, and probably even greater number of providers interested in offering those solutions to the smaller companies. So I really like this, and of course, this is one of the key elements for ADB to typically to come in to finance energy efficiency is the aggregation and scale, and that helps us also to bring some of the private sector financing. So this presentation is a nice segue to another area we're focusing again also on heavy industries, but quite heavy industries. And so our next presentation will cover specifically the aluminium industry in India and be presented by Balawant Joshi, who's the founder and managing director of EDAM Infrastructure Advisory. And he has over 30 years of experience in energy policy, renewable energy, and energy efficiency in India. And so, Balawan, thank you so much for joining us and taking through your work you're doing in India. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, David. Good morning, everybody. As David said, my name is Balban Joshi, founder, managing director of IDAM Infrastructure Advisory. What exactly is IDAM? Just 30-second snippet. We are a consulting company and a solutions company operating to the sustainable energy space out of three verticals, IDAM, WattGuru, and InfraG. WattGuru is essentially IT solutions for new energy, and InfraG is geospatial solutions for climate resilience. So that's about IDAM. We have a motto of enabling carbon minimal world and work exclusively in the space of sustainable energy. Uh, so my presentation is going to focus on the decarbonization pathways in Indian aluminum industry. This assignment or this particular piece of work was done by us under ASPIRE program of FCDO. ASPIRE stands for Accelerating Smart Power and Renewable Energy in India, which was funded by UK FCDO. So you will see the co-author or co-presenter as a Sanyukta Dasgupta, which is senior advisor with FCDO. Why aluminum industry? In the sense, you heard about a green steel, you talk about a green cement and hard to abate sectors, textile, but very rarely we talk about the non-ferrous alloys sector, right? You know, and these are big energy guzzlers. So if you see why we looked at aluminum in India is, first of all, the India is the second largest producer of aluminum, of course, after China. The difference is also too big between the two of us. But nevertheless, there are a lot of similarities between the China and India. Both of us use fossil fuel for production of aluminum. And as a result of that, you will see very similar patterns in terms of a greenhouse gas intensity. As far as the consumption is concerned, India has got around 3 kg. World average is around 12, but China is, again, because of the significantly high production and consumption, it's around 32 kg. As far as the aluminum sector is concerned, it actually contributes the 2% to the manufacturing GDP of India. So it's not small, okay? And even though it is concentrated within a few companies, it is still, we have got a manufacturing capacity of 4.1 million metric ton of aluminum. And that shows, and that has got impact on the GHG emissions. So if you see globally, as well as in India, the GHG emissions contribute from the aluminum sector are around 8% of the industrial GHG emission. It is just a coincidence that the number is same 8%. Okay, but in terms of the carbon intensity of the aluminum production, the world average is around 15 tons of CO2 per ton of aluminum production, while India is around 18. So is India doing something about it? Yes, certainly. All companies are working in that direction. And you would see the downward trend in terms of the carbon emissions intensity reduction. So it has gone down from more than 20 tons of CO2 to around 18.38 or 18 tons of CO2. What is remarkable over here are the two numbers. That is the least emissions intensity in case of India is 16.2, while in case of world it is a 1.6. And that is primarily because of the kind of composition of the energy that is being used. Where is this energy being used? What is the kind of a contribution to the GHG intensity? Forget about the rightmost bar, that is the total. But in between three, if you look at it, the alumina refining, that is contributing around 2.7 tons. If you see anode consumption, that is around 1.7 ton, and electricity, which is around 13.2 tons to that 18 tons. And this is where the opportunity lies. Well, someone would say it is quite obvious, but making that energy available from any non-fossil source is not so obvious and not so easy. However, there are a lot of opportunities in between as well. A lot of technology options are available to reduce the energy emissions intensity. We have divided as a part of our work into the four buckets. The first bucket is the low carbon energy sources, obvious, something making renewable energy available. But how do you make renewable energy available 24/7 to the production or to the plants, something like aluminum, right? So adoption of renewable energy, green hydrogen. Second one is the energy efficiency and monitoring. Actually, there are a lot of IoT as well as digital twin kind of applications which are possible in this sector, which could help in reducing energy intensity and as a result of the emissions intensity. I think the third bucket, in my view, is the most promising and immediately available, and that is recycling. So one of the point which I forgot to mention in one of the earlier slides is that in case of India, the primary aluminum constitutes around 70%. So there is a lot of opportunity for the secondary aluminum to come in. We have to have vehicle scrap policy to be implemented in sincerity. There is a lot of other ways wherein we can get aluminum into the process and we can have the secondary aluminum sector increasing. Also, circularity opportunities. I think there are two circularity opportunities over here. One is a spent pot liner, and that could be used in the cement sector, and the second one is a dross recycling. So these are the two important opportunities that we need to capture. And there are, of course, new technologies that are coming in. Inert anodes are there, CCUS, which is very, very important. HAL zero technology, very, very innovative, but at least a couple of years away from the commercial implementation. So where do we see, this is little dense slide, but where do we see opportunity for reduction in emissions intensity? We start with that 18.38, the left-hand side bar. We will see opportunity 5% in energy efficiency, 3% in fuel switch in alumina process, 4% in carbon management in alumina process. Then we go down to the from alumina to aluminium, wherein we see opportunity to the extent of 18% in energy efficiency. Then comes the renewable energy. Because renewable energy, while we can certainly harness, it's a significant portion, it's not going to be easy. And then 21% opportunity exists in the carbon management. We have to actually exhaust all our options with renewable energy and energy efficiency before we get into the carbon management, because that is even further than any of the other options that are available. Having said that, I will just talk about two case studies. The first case study is about implemented by Hindalco, and it was done in case of anode baking furnaces, wherein they switched from their existing fuel, that is HFO, to natural gas. Again, natural gas has to be available. India is not bestowed with natural gas resources, but if you are able to shift, what is the kind of a change or impact it would have? So you would see the CO2 impact to the extent of 19%, but more than CO2 impact, there is also SOx impact. Okay, and that is significant to the extent of 59%, the cost reduction to the extent of 11%. So very, very significant benefit in terms of a switch of fuel, which I had shown in in the earlier slide. The second case study is implemented by Vedanta at their Balco plant. And here what they did is that 100% graphitization of their cathodes, right? So the existing, normally the cathodes which are used have got 50% graphite. However, in this case, they tried to move from 50% graphite to 100% graphite. And then what was observed was a significant improvement in the performance. And because of what actually happened was the resistivity reduced, the conductivity improved significantly. Resistivity dropped from 26 ohm centimeter to 12 ohm centimeter. And if you see the benefit, which is there at the bottom, like 82.7 million units of savings in their 120 pots, which is very, very substantial, while the investment was something in the region of $16.8 million. That brings it to my last slide of the presentation. In our pathways, there are multiple pathways, of course, as you know, in any decarbonization pathway, we can't have one single pathway. So the one which is most obvious, most promising is something that I showed. But what are the kind of what is needed for us to achieve those pathways? Okay. The first is what are the kind of policy incentives that are required? Leadership commitments, collaboration, and research and development. But out of that, the 3 or 4 I would like to highlight. The first one is that we need to have mechanisms to provide RE continuously for these particular plants. Second one, implementation of the Environment Protection Act, right? And see, we always have, most of our countries, we have got good acts, legal provisions, but the implementation of them is many a times a challenge. And why I'm saying in this particular industry, if you see the spent pot liner, which has got a lot of toxicity, using that is not easy. But actually, uh, disposal of that is a responsibility of the industry, and it doesn't happen, right? And we have seen that consistently happening. So that is something that is needed, the lot of resolve on the part of the political leadership as well as the industry leadership. Vehicle scrap policies have to be implemented with a rigor. We also would need carbon market. India has already talked about a carbon market, but we would need it because to deal with both internal carbon pricing related issues, but also at the same time, the EU CBAM policy related issues. The last one I would talk about is the extended producer responsibility. We have to have that in place for not only this particular aluminum as a product, but a lot of other products wherein aluminum becomes a secondary waste. Okay, so that it gets back into the cycle, and we are able to make use of it. So as we reduce the total resource requirement on this planet, on this earth, and we are able to make not only the sector which is in net zero, but also help several other sectors as well. Thank you very much for the time given to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Balawant, and for covering this topic. Of course, we covered specifically the aluminum industry, but it'll be very similar to other sort of heavy industries tackling this issue. And the thing I quite liked about the presentation was all the data. So the energy efficiency data is so important and helps us then to understand what are the issues, what helps us even benchmark. So in this case, Balwant was able to benchmark with industries in other countries as well, and see how far India is from best available technologies and solutions, and so that they can actually trigger and act on it. And of course, they recognize that by acting on it, there's a number of energy savings and cost savings as well. And I think this is really and some points that maybe we can explore later with your help and on the carbon pricing and how it can be important for triggering some actions in the FA industry. So that concludes our 5 presentations, and we can now move on to the panel discussion. So I'd like to invite all our speakers to join me here, and we can open it up for Q&A. What I'll do is maybe start off with some questions, and then I can pass it on to all the participants. And I'm hoping that many of you have filled in our poll. So we had an online poll on energy efficiency in industry, and if you had to choose whether you'd prioritize MSMEs or SMEs or heavy industry, and why. So please bear with me. We'll get to you on that particular question, and we'll ask you for your views as well. So we want to make this interactive. I have some questions to kick us off. So and then I'll ask the audience to just raise your hand, and please then join us here at the center with the microphone, and just let us know your name and organization as well. But let's kick us off with 2 questions for Reshmi and Junyanto. I think many of you might be interested. How can your projects, your approaches be replicated in other countries in the region, and so, or how are you planning to expand that? So if you can keep it quite short, so that we then have, I think, 30 minutes now, so we give enough time for the people in the audience. Thank you.
Thanks, David. I think this was a really interesting session, such interesting insights from everyone, and clearly highlighting the potential for energy efficiency. And we know in the ASEAN region, we have some of the fastest growing economies in the world, which means energy consumption is going to increase, which means energy efficiency has a greater role to play in reducing carbon emissions. So how do we replicate that to other countries? I think One important area or incentive is, of course, policies. When governments identify or develop clear guidelines and policy standards, it becomes easy for industries to follow and replicate, because that's one of the challenges that we've had in Vietnam when we initially started our work. Companies weren't very proactive in terms of, following, because there were no clear guidelines. But the recent PDP-8 has given much more clear instructions in terms of what needs to be implemented, who does the implementation. So one is clear guidelines, and maybe also for the ASEAN region to think that, is there a regional guideline that can be developed for energy efficiency? Can there be a standardization of appliances or machineries for the region? So one is, of course, policy. Second is capacity building. In our work, we saw that there's huge demand, especially among SMEs, to understand what decarbonization is, what are the energy efficiency solutions available in the market, what is the scale of investment needed. So there's huge capacity building that is required by industries, and that's where I think many of us, GIZ, WWF, have a role to play in terms of building capacity of these organizations. And I think then, and for me, I think, again, in our work, I think financing is a very key issue, especially in the SME sector. They don't have the kind of scale of investment to make, even for energy efficiency, which is not that highly, doesn't need huge investment, but still companies do face challenges in getting loans from local banks to access finance. So of course, I think multilaterals like ADB have a bigger role to play in making finance accessible for energy efficiency solutions in industry. So I'll stop it there, David. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think pretty much agree that talking about the energy efficiency network, this is a flexible concept which this can be easily adapted across the region or other places. Again, to iterate that the strong expansion lies in the government support, trusted facilitators, capacity building for both the industries and the network coordinators. So aside from that, regional platform like the assistance of ASEAN Center for Energy could help this to harmonize this kind of approach. While development partners can support also the pilots and reduce early risk. Not to mention digitalization play a role here. Again, this network should start small and then network in one of the maybe industrial park, and then let the results speak itself as companies, others industries saw the saving and cost reduction, then participation can grow organically. That's the power of the network. They scale through trust, proof, and collaboration. I think that's my view.
Thank you so much, Reshmi and Junyanto. Question to Hu, and so in the People's Republic of China has gone through extensive process of developing, adopting these motor standards. You mentioned the competition between Europe and China as well. How can other countries which are in the first stages of their journey learn from this experience and maybe even leapfrog? Because if we go and see internationally, and particularly here in Asia and Pacific, very few countries still have standards for motors. Philippines, for example, does not have electric motor standards. Vietnam, I think, is just starting, I think, just looking at IE1. So the question to Vietnam, why it start at IE1 when maybe they can leapfrog already to IE2 and 3? So if you could just, sort of share, the extensive experience from China, and what lessons can we bring to the other countries that they should definitely consider these standards, but even maybe leapfrog as well. Thank you.
So thank you, David. So I think good question, because according to my experience for the maps, especially the mandatory maps, it's not only about energy efficiency, it's about industry, it's about employment, it's about the industry development, manufacturing, so that every country in its unique potential, position develop maps, especially for motors. Almost every country has their own motor manufacturing, manufacturers. And of course, advanced manufacturers want higher one. They want to, eliminate out the competitors. Of course, normally the local, small, medium enterprises want lower one. They want to survive in the industry. And our experience in China, we have some higher pressure from industries and also encourage local innovation. But my comments for that, I think, depends on your country's context. To be honest, I have no further comments for the motor itself. But in recent years, I really think about how we can facilitate a motor system work. And my personal observation is that maybe we can start from compressed air station or air compressor. Why? As I presented, air compressor used almost every industry, every factory, especially for downstream factories, light industries, small SMEs. And also it took about 1/3 of the global, in average, 1/3 of the industry's motor system consumption. Maybe in downstream is even higher. But in China, maybe heavy industries, more pumps. China is different structure. In China, pump consumes about 1/3. Air compressor consumes about 15%. But in downstreams, especially in other developing countries, the air compressor took high share, the first one. Secondly, actually, for air compressor, it's more or less high tech. Very, very quite few local factories can produce high quality, good air compressor. That means most of them, they're imported from international brands, also from China. I think like Atlas Copco, Ingus Rand, or some international brands. That means it's easier to regulate without local involvement. We can regulate, international companies, you have high tech, you have, efficient solutions. Why should we, set higher criteria for you? I think that's, maybe to cut numbers of stakeholders can maybe to make a process easier. The third one is actually the technology innovation. Actually, in China, there is new system-oriented equipment called integrated compressed air equipment. That means it pack VFD, motor, air compressor, dryer. That means you pack everything in your big integrated box. You just install the box close to your workshop, to the factory, then you can get the clean air that you want for the process line. I think that's a new trend. And also, previously I can call it our motor system can be industrial DIY. We buy motor, buy VFD, we assemble on site. But I think that process already gone. At least I say maybe in China unless it's gone, it's outdated. Maybe I can recall you in 20 years ago when the personal PC, you buy the CPU, motherboard, everything you build by your own, you hire a consultant. But right now, you just order from online, Apple, Dell, you can maybe have an integrated solution, high efficient, then you have good service. And then maybe in future, that means at least for the compressed air, if we can buy a good black box, then have compressed high system-oriented efficiency would be a good solution. That's what I'm trying to also facilitate in China, but maybe also that can be useful for the other countries in Asia.
Thank you. So the next questions I have, so one for Sugata. So I understand, and I think you mentioned briefly in your presentation that the Indian Bureau of Energy Efficiency is setting a program to support energy efficiency investments. And as we're discussing, even Rashmi just mentioned, financing has been one of the challenges, and getting particularly to MSMEs through banks, through commercial banks. Can you tell us a bit more about this ADITI? So I think the long name is Assistance for Deployment of Energy Efficient Technologies in Industry and Establishments. What's it about? What's the goals, and how is it going to operate and bring that key financing to these MSMEs? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Yes. Ministry of Power in Government of India, they are going to launch this ADITI scheme. It is called Assistance in Deployment of Energy Efficient Technology in Industry and Establishment. The main objective of this scheme is to support the industry to adopting energy efficient technologies. How they can do that? There are two components of this scheme. First is that support them implementing that energy efficient technology through interest subvention and in on that loan taken for this implementing such measures. And second thing, they're also doing the handholding support. So they'll be conducting the investment get energy audits. They'll prepare the DPR, detailed project reports, and also submit to the financial institution. And then finally, measurement and verification. And during this time also, they will support create the capacity building program for the MSMEs, and as well as they'll also build the capacity building for the local service providers. So this scheme will be valid for 3 years, from 2025 to 2028, and they are expecting that there will be around 1 billion USD market. And also, and this scheme is what they are doing. They are giving the 5% reduction for the small scale industries, reduction in submission, and for the medium scale, it will be 3%. So you can say this is a win-win situation for all, because industry can implement the energy efficient technology. The commercial brand will get a ready-made market, and then energy efficient technologies, they will have also ready-made market to sell their products. And as a country, we can reduce our energy consumption.
Just to understand that a bit more, so is it the Bureau of Energy Efficiency is going to be providing incentives or support to conduct the energy audits, and then that information is is there a selected number of commercial banks that will be providing the financing, and that
exactly. And also they are also hiring, they have approved conducting energy conducting agency. There is part of that, and we will also be part of that activity for conducting audits in all those MSME clusters.
So there's support also for the financial intermediaries as well to be able to assess these projects.
Bureau of Energy under Ministry of Power.
Thank you. So the last question that I have, and then we can open up. So it's to Balawant in terms of, I think what I mentioned earlier in terms of how are your findings, and what have you seen in the aluminum industry that you think could be applicable to other heavy industries such as iron and steel, and even other non-ferrous heavy industries in India? So there'll be some commonalities. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, David. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, a lot of these heavy industries, hard to abate sectors are similar. Like, there is a first stage from where the iron ore or any ore is converted to the intermediate product, and then intermediate product is converted into the final product. And typically the second stage process is very, very energy intensive. The first stage is also in energy intensive, but second is extremely intensive, energy intensive process. So there are a lot of similarities between these industries. If you look at aluminium, zinc, copper, if you look at even the iron and steel. So one of the things is that they are hard to abate. The reason being they use a lot of energy, and a lot of energy that comes primarily from the fossil fuels. So what is needed is that some mechanisms everywhere to have the very cheap renewable energy available. If you see the aluminum presentation, I mentioned the global lowest emissions intensity is 1.6. And who's that? Alcoa. Okay, Canadian company which has got a lot of hydro potential or hydro resources available to it. And that's the reason their energy intensity is the lowest. And so we need to make the renewable energy available to these particular companies. The problem is that many a times where the iron ore is available, where these industries are possible because of the availability of the ore, such as say bauxite in case of aluminium, no renewable energy resources are available. Okay, so one of the things which is the theme has to be across for all hard to abate sectors is availability of renewable energy sources. So the government has to come up with some kind of a mechanisms to support that. The second thing is that a lot of technologies, the processes are very similar. So it is possible to have some of these processes interchangeable, the technologies which are interchangeable, and then one need to look at those technologies and processes. Lastly, I think a lot of knowledge sharing is required. Many a times these are the very large industries, because there are no commitments, in the sense there are no mandates. I won't say commitments, but there are no mandates. There is very little coordination in terms of the technology, and something needs to be done on that for that to happen. Not only in India but outside India. So maybe something like EEN facilitating the large hard to abate industries, something like that.
Thank you so much, Balwan. So I'd like to open it up. Before I open it up, I want to get a bit of interaction. So hope you can answer a question I've got. So we've put a poll out, and the question was, which industrial sectors should we prioritize or sort of the cluster for energy efficiency investments to deliver? Now the question here was greatest energy savings. And we made it quite simple. So we divided it into heavy industries and small and medium industrial enterprises. And just before we started the session, SMEs, I think, were just ahead, but now they're pretty much tied. So 43 votes for heavy industry, 42 for small industrial medium enterprises. So it's difficult. But I'd like to, by a show of hands, who thinks the focus, if they had to choose, of course, should be on heavy industries? Okay. So again, and small and medium enterprises? Okay, slightly more number of small and medium enterprises. So this is great, and maybe this is one of the points for discussion later on. But I see we've got two questions. So if you want to come to the and just let us know your name and affiliation, and then I think we've got a question there afterwards. So we'll take maybe a bunch of questions first. Thank you. And just let us know if it's directed to anybody. And thank you.
Thanks, David. Alex Ablaza. I represent the Global ESCO Network and the Asia Pacific ESCO Industry Alliance. I'd like to understand the role of ESCOs. So maybe this is a question for Rashmi and Junianto and the rest of the panel, actually. It's all about energy efficiency measures. Replacing utilities and building services is one thing, and that's the easy stuff. That's where the ESCOs are very good at: motors, compressors, pumps, chillers, lighting, BMS. But you have the other bucket where you have process machinery, the weaving machine, the printed circuit board printers, the kilns, the furnaces, the smelters. And there's very little retrofits in that space. It's more of the easy stuff. And you can only capture maybe 30-40% of their energy savings potential with these ESCO implementable technologies. Utilities, compressed air, steam, boilers. But the furnaces and the kilns, the CFOs of the enterprises will typically max out their economic lives and then fully depreciate it before they replace. Otherwise, they're stuck with the stranded asset. So, what's your comment on how many of this bigger machinery, process machinery, did you see a huge potential, but were not really feasible? And what are the opportunities and gaps of implementing energy efficiency versus the smaller opportunities? And maybe one for Hubo. Yes, I believe there are a lot of integrated solutions. I understand what you're saying. The motor is only a small portion, but the bigger portion if you include the mechanicals in it. But how does that affect the payback or the ROI once you start to integrate it in a box instead of just the motor? So just a couple of questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And we'll take a few more questions. So there was one or two. Yeah, if you want to, both of you want to ask, we'll take a bunch of them.
Hi,
Thank you.
good morning. I'm Arvin from Siemens Energy. So my question is, with all the solutions that are being provided, solar, I think, is the easiest acceptance for SMEs. Are there any resistance to new technologies as waste heat recovery, energy management systems upgrades, or electrical systems upgrade for that, or new technologies that are being presented as solutions? And also, does the other countries experience resistance also from distributors, electrical distribution companies, specifically in the Philippines with the cooperatives that operate local distribution systems in terms of loss of revenue for their side versus the energy savings from the business side? Thank you.
Thank you. So next question, and then we can take that one. So we'll take 4 questions. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kishan Samarasinga from Global Green Growth Institute based in South Korea. My question is regarding hard to abate sector, particularly aluminum, steel, and also heavy industry targeting mortar. So since you have already proposed these technologies, identified technologies, I'm just wondering whether these technologies are already registered under CDM, whether we can show real carbon reduction, and because we are looking to develop projects, one of the important thing is real emission reduction. Then we can easily mobilize climate finance. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we've got one more question. Thank you.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'd just like to write on Sir Alex's question earlier, particularly directed to Mr. Joshi of EDM Infrastructure. You had a wonderful waterfall diagram on the reducing emission intensities earlier from 18 down to the final levels. I was wondering whether you had done a deep dive on the economics of each of those actionable steps in terms of whether all of those actions are already financially viable, and which one offers the best sort of impact per dollar deployed. Noting, of course, that there's a huge chunk of that waterfall that's already, I think it was 39 or 49, which was the switch from coal power plant to RE, so beyond that. And perhaps for the panel as well, you mentioned that other industries have very similar technologies anyways. And so how do you see all of those actionable items affect the ROI? Thanks.
Thank you so much, and great question. So we've got about 8 minutes to cover the question. So I do take one on. So the one question or two questions from Alex in terms of focusing on the more challenging issues, and maybe Sugata and Balawant, you can cover that in the hard investments or the big machinery and tackling those. I think that would be. And then I think there's one for a question from Alex on the integrated solutions and sort of the paybacks on those. So asking you to respond to those pretty quickly. And then we have one on, I think, sort of looking at other things that maybe we didn't talk much about, but the energy management systems, particularly, I think we didn't talk about, and those are some easy solutions. And of course, the big focus a lot on solar. But if any of you want to touch on some of these other solutions with MID that maybe we didn't talk much about in terms of energy management systems. And then a question on CDM and carbon credits. And then I think one specific to you, the last one, Balawant, on the economics of each of these actions. So maybe Sugata and Balawant, do you want to start, or do you want to go?
Because we have to catch.
But just keep it very short, because we've got about.
So I think maybe for the ESCOs, because in China, I think I opened one ESCO company in the city I'm living now. That's why I migrate to my city. But I think the ESCO, traditional ESCOs in China is shrinking. I think I know the people from the AMCA, from also ESCO Association, the traditional, ESCOs are shrinking. They call it comprehensive energy service companies. That means not only for for the diagnosis, but also investment. But in China, I think the ESCOs in China business is shrinking a lot, and then traditionally but that's my personal observation. Also, I think true. Second, I think for ESCOs, it's good for big projects, big motors, but under maybe 50 or 60 kilowatt below that, massive. So the ESCO does not work. So that way is why I need integration. That means the manufacturers, especially the professional manufacturers for air compressors, can provide better solution. That because SMEs, the people has no awareness, no knowledge, no technical expertise to deal with such kind of things. They just need the one magic black box give us, something that if something wrong, I just call somebody, then they can be fixed. So I think that's my personal, the experience about the integrated solution, like our computer, our cell phone. Right now, even you cannot change your battery by your own. Previously, you can change battery. Right now, it's all sealed, but better service.
Or Sugata, do you want to touch on this, the big machinery, tackling the big machinery?
Okay. So we do conduct energy audit every day, every year, 50 to 60 energy audits. And over the last 20 years, we have conducted 2,000 plus audits. And based on our experience, we have seen that people are nowadays not focusing on the utility areas. They are looking for the process areas intervention also. So we have seen if you find out a good project, energy saving, thermal energy saving project, they are ready to invest. Like I worked in a steel industry for 7 years. So ETC have seen that many auditors are giving the proposal like replace your energy efficient furnace, even inefficient furnace is the energy efficient furnace, then put the waste heat recovery installation. So all these things are giving more than 5% or 10% energy saving. So the industry is ready to invest in those technology, and it is fruitful also for the industry. So those people are focusing also, and auditor also nowadays recommending for all the process improving proposals.
Is the challenge because these big machinery, these are got a lot very long lifetime, right? So once you build your first plant, you're stuck with that heavy machinery for a long time, and so making that decision to change it is usually a challenge.
And second thing, India, there is a scheme called Perform Achievement Trade, where government of India is giving target to all the energy intensive industry that you have to reduce energy consumption by 5-10%. And that is not possible if you implement only utility level energy saving technologies. So you have to enter into the process area, and you have to change your initiative system with the efficient system.
But is that usually the last one they will go for, typically? So they will do all the small things first?
Yes.
And then once they've exhausted the PAT scheme, they will have to do the big investment.
Directly. So we divide into project into three categories: no or nil investment project, medium investment project, and high investment project. So first they implement the low-hanging fruits, or the low investment project, and then gradually they move to high investment. And they have to do that. Otherwise, they're not able to reduce their energy consumption. And when we talk about specific energy consumption, it is means thermal plus electrical both.
Thank you. Maybe Balwant, and then I'll ask maybe Reshmi if you want to touch on the energy management systems as well. And yeah, thank you.
So I will try to respond to three questions very quickly. First is the ESCO. So we have got ESCOs two types: technology agnostic ESCOs as well as OEM ESCOs. And if you see the technology agnostic ESCOs, my company, we used to hold ESCO license for 5 years. We gave it up. Okay, trying to be a technology agnostic ESCO in India. And so OEM ESCO is a different story. That's a different story. In terms of doing the bigger contracts, in terms of the ESCO, very process-driven contracts, I think at least we have not seen much in India in that particular category. And I think a lot of work needs to be done. The second question about from Triple GI person about CM, we have not actually looked at whether these technologies are listed on CM. Okay, our work has been to deal with which are the technologies, what is going to be their impact, and how much energy efficiency or the GHG intensity we can reduce using those technologies in those particular circumstances. But we have got a technology stack not only in the aluminum sector, but several other sectors because of the other work that we have done within the Aspire program. We can talk about it separately, whether the hard to abate sector. The last question was about whether we have done the deep dive or MAC curves, okay, for these things. We have looked at the potential side of it, okay, and we have also looked at indicative cost, and that's how the technologies have been ranked. If you see the waterfall curve, the first one is, of course, energy efficiency. Then you look at swap, that is from the fossil fuel to either natural gas or to biomass. Then you have to, in alumina sector, you have to look at CCUS, which is a very small. And then you look at renewable energy and then look at the carbon. So that indicates the kind of a waterfall diagram itself indicates which are the low-hanging opportunities from the cost perspective, which are the opportunities. We have looked at the potential, but we have not created MAC curves. Okay, so if that satisfies your answer, but also, very tricky to get into and do the viability of every technology when you are developing pathways and when the industry is involved in a significant manner. There are a lot of commercial issues that come into play. Even to get 2 case studies or 3 case studies out of them is sometimes challenge with numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Palawanda. I don't know if Reshmi or anybody wants to touch on the question on energy management systems, which I think we didn't cover much, but critical actually as well. Just if you can put.
Just to say that the energy management system where companies weren't aware what it does actually. So once they have the awareness and once they see, oh, we can map this equipment is consuming more, we can save here. It became popular. And I think to the question in terms of new technologies, I think for at least for the SMEs, it comes down to the scale of investment. How pocket friendly is it for them? That's their first criteria, whether they want to go for it or not. So it's that simple. Yeah, thanks.
So we're, I know we're short of time. I don't want to take much of your time for networking as well. But just very quickly, maybe from each of you, in just very short 20, 30 seconds, what sort of key message you would like our audience to take away on energy efficiency in industry, if any? Yep, thank you.
The efficiency is there, potential is there. Then we have to work up, directly to that direction. For us, is standardization, but also we need efforts from every stakeholders in this circle.
While we may not like mandates, I think mandates are mandatory if you really want to have energy efficiency in industry. Otherwise, the voluntary action is only very limited.
I just want to motivate everybody to champion energy efficiency. I think, renewable energy is picking up. There's no doubt there's investment, there's the market, everything. But I think, like everybody said, these are low hanging fruits, especially for industrial sectors. And we should be championing energy efficiency in those sectors where the savings are high. Thank you.
But being energy efficient now not a choice. We have to be energy efficient. Others will not be sustained in the coming future.
Yeah, I think strong policy is important, and then of course we have to work together, collaboration, peer learning, and then don't forget digitalization.
Thank you. I agree with all these points. This is great sort of conclusion of our session. Please join me in thanking our speakers today for the presentation. I really hope you found the session helpful and informative. And please do reach out to our speakers just after. And hope you can join us our next session at 11 o'clock. So thank you so much for your attention.